All right, and we are back with the Catenaccio Podcast Serie A show. Match day 32, episode God knows what. I think I've got a number later there. But we're back. We missed Monday because we had some technical issues and the whole gang couldn't be there. And I said to myself, maybe a podcast alone won't be as entertaining. But we're back with a bang and we got a really special guest. But before I introduce him, I'll introduce the rest of the panel first. We got Luca straight from London. He's not even in his house anymore. So you don't see the great shirt collection behind him. But you got
unfortunately we have a nice poster of a new background. Yeah, finally back. Happy to be back, and hopefully this is a great episode.
It's always better to see the nice posters behind you and the old bed. But yeah, man. Next up, as always, next to his paintings, we got Ricky. What's up, Ricky?
Hi guys. Good to be back, and many things going on in these weeks. So it's gonna be an interesting episode.
Yeah, we got one hell of an episode on our hands, guys. So many controversial things to talk about. Next up, Jonathan, who has just come from a 5-2 loss to Napoli. I had to mention, I'm sorry.
I'm depressed. What else is there to say? Champions League dreams were just ruined right in front of me. Like, what do you want me to say, man?
I love it when one of my panelists just goes, "Yeah, I'm depressed, bro." I was like, "Okay, welcome to the episode." And then, guys, let's welcome with open arms our guest Sia. Sia, introduce yourself. We know you're a Juve fan, right?
I'm going to sign out. I'm an Inter fan. I work for Eurosport, Discovery Networks. So you guys have, I think in Italy, Nove, Eurosport, all those channels doing the nice cooking shows and the Ti Spedisco in Convento trash shows. And we have a lot of fun things going on at Discovery. I love Italian football since so long back. I'm happy to be on here, even if it's the wrong colors. I'm always available to talk about Serie A.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And as always, to me, it's always a shock when someone who actually does something serious with football comes on our show, because it's like, what are you doing here? Who forced you to? But I'm really sorry.
It's not so different, to be honest.
I'm really sorry. I'm getting Florentino sir. No, we're not going to speak about the Super. No, no, you can't find me. Sorry, it was Florentino Perez.
Apologize.
10 out of 10 for the acting.
Exactly.
10 out of 10 for the acting.
Guys, okay, for those who are listening to us, I had this whole plan. I wanted to get the fake ringtones that like go on, and I want to be like, "Yes, Mr. Perez." Yeah, that's. This is my last episode.
Arden, going back to what you said about when we have someone serious come on to the podcast. Perfect. Look at Johnny with his USA polo with the collar popped up.
Yeah, it's for those of us who are
that's a Super League fan right there.
What? No, I support Lazio. What do we have to do with Super League? We're a poor club. What's the sell every year?
For anyone who's listening to us on podcast, the dress code flew out the window because I'm in a nice little shirt. Luca is in a hoodie with a poster.
I didn't bring a shirt to London.
Sia looks like he just came out of a Kill Bill convention. And then we got Jonathan looking like he's in I don't know, Cancun on a family holiday. And then Ricky's always looking pretty fly. I love you, Ricky. What's up, man? All right, let's actually get on with the episode because we're done with speaking about ourselves. But Catenaccio, episode 21, 22nd of April. It's flying by the way, but what a bunch of results we got, guys. We got 6 for some teams, 7 games remaining in the league, and it's getting quite tight, guys. Fiorentina winning against Verona in a crucial game. Honestly, Verona used to be one of those really hyped up teams, and then what's going on? They're just not playing anymore. I think they lost.
Yeah, they can't win anymore.
Yeah, next week they have Inter, so we'll see. And Milan getting beaten by Sassuolo, which we'll talk about in a minute, in a really bad game. Well, actually, just talk about it directly. Like, Luca, what happened? Like, I was meant to go to the stadium and I didn't get to. Thank God I didn't. But Luca, what happened? Honestly.
I mean, to be honest, I think that for the time we were leading the match, we were actually better than when we won against Genoa. So I think Genoa deserved more than Sassuolo did, at least for like the first 70 minutes. Then when Pioli made the changes and took out, who did he take out? Rebic
Çalhanoğlu, yeah.
Yeah, Rebic and Çalhanoğlu, putting in Krunic and Mandzukic. After that, we completely lost all kind of control of the game. Raspadori, I mean, good credit to him. He scored 2 nice goals. And yeah, I think we just threw away a relatively good performance because first half we were very convincing. First maybe 20 minutes of the second half we were very convincing. Çalhanoğlu scored a beautiful goal, and then we completely threw it away. And now we're in a sticky situation with the Champions League race.
Yeah. Well, it's to me it was completely shocking. You know what it is? I don't even have anyone to point my fingers to, and I'm not even angry. I'm just frustrated and very disappointed. See, obviously, as an Inter fan, you know. Did you watch the game with popcorns in one hand and a beer in the other? How were you expecting something like this, or you were? Because, you know, obviously I won't be the one to say it, but Milan has been doing quite well for a big portion of the season. But did you expect them in 2021 to start collapsing like that?
I probably expected them to not deliver with the same intensity that they did before, because I think, even though I think they played very well and deserved all the points, I think out of the win ratio, it was bound to happen to drop points at a time. I think the strange thing, and, you know, due to injuries and not getting continuity, going far in Europe, not far, but, you know, some extra games, some extra trips, it was bound to become, you know, worse, but I didn't think they dropped so many points. And yeah, I was surprised to see how mentally fragile the team was, because I agree totally with I think Milan was so good first until the 1-1 goal. I think they were paying attention in defense. They limited the Locatelli and Obiang centrally with Meite, who I was wondering why he started, but I think he did well until that. Then they just let 1 goal in, and I think everything just changed. And you kind of see that because when the players, you know, when they install fear and don't feel confident or try something or do something good, it just broke down. And I think even though the coaching was good from you know, sending in Raspadori, I like that guy, but I think purely when he took Çalhanoğlu out and put Mandzukic on, you kind of take away the only player that can find Mandzukic, right? So, you know, I think Çalhanoğlu has been a bit up and down, especially after COVID, but he's so good and probably the best Milan player at finding, you know, the final third passes. So you take out the guy who you know, does that and who takes the corners, who take the free kicks. And it's so ironic that when Çalhanoğlu goes out, you get 2 or 3 great free kick positions, you get the corners. So I didn't like that substitution at all. And I'm not saying that decided the game, but I think it just turned out so wrong. And the team showed a mental fragility that they haven't done so much during this season.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, you know, when you don't have people like Benacer, when you don't have you know, when you don't have Benacer, when you don't have Çalhanoğlu, when you don't have Ibra, you know, you don't have Tonali, you know, those guys that on FIFA you'd say have more of an 80 passing, you know, who's gonna get that killer ball, who's gonna get that composure that you need, you know, even if you're winning 1-0, you know, someone's gonna have to hold up a ball and be very good with their possession. But
same with Krunic, not only Çalhanoğlu, but also Krunic. Rebic isn't, you know, an assist man by definition, but he definitely can create more dangerous attacking opportunities than Krunic.
Yeah.
So even that, I don't really understand the change.
All right, I'll go for it. Yeah,
well, Leao as well. I think I understand keeping him because you think you can counter and he's fast, but I just think he was cold. You know, I didn't feel that stuff happened, and if that's why I'd probably, even for Krunic, have taken him out, because Krunic can, you know, he can play the ball, he can run, he can play it together with Çalhanoğlu, right? So they can kind of. But I didn't really understand that. So I saw the intentions of, you know, keeping Leao to counter and create for Mandzukic. It just didn't work.
Leao to me is still such an incognito player. I'm finally getting on that I think Amy always talked about how Leao is one of those players that I personally don't get what it is about him. Like, I think he's got the skills, but at the same time, this game as well, I think his approach to the game wasn't too bad. I think he could have done. He was doing, you know, in terms of mentally, he was doing quite well. He wasn't I don't know, he just wasn't decisive. But in general, and then we're going to move on. Well, I'll ask you a quick fire question. What is about Milan, which I see the difference with someone like Inter, is we can't win the dirty games. These games that you're just going to win by one bad goal, just got to win them. We just can't do it. It looks like we don't have that ferocity that Inter have. And, well, now I'll ask you the so-called quickfire question. So Ibra, just before this episode, has officially signed a new contract for next year. Do you think that is the right approach? Like, is Milan doing well in giving 7 million euros? So right now, I think he's tied for the most paid player. And if they do give Donnarumma a new contract, he's going to be second most paid player. To a 40-year-old who has missed, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, by the way, because I think completely the opposite. But 40-year-old who has missed half of the games, who next year, God knows how many games he's going to play, and who's sucking up an X amount of money from an investment into a new player. What do we think, guys? Should we go with Sia first?
I think the problem isn't Ibra making what Ibra makes. The problem is he needs to have someone behind him who can play the 10 or 15 games that he's not going to play. Or, if you're lucky, he plays 20 games or 30 games. But if you're unlucky, he plays 10. So you need to have someone behind him who can actually play that amount of money. And I think, Inter has Alexis Sanchez that has 7.5, but he's the third choice. Lukaku and Lautaro, they're always playing. So I think that's the problem, because Zlatan himself, Milan isn't where Milan is if it's not for Zlatan. I think that has to be said. The only reason I think this team is performing and is in the Champions League spots yet still is Zlatan. But I think they depend too much on him, because even if they, won without him and played good without him, it's a big difference when you have Zlatan on the team. So I think that's missing a lot in a lot of games. So I think it's right, but they need to have someone to back him up who is not Leao, because Leao, he showed involvement in the beginning of the season, but he's 21 years old. You can't expect him to bang in 20 goals. So I like Vlahovic, and I think if you get Vlahovic, they can alternate and play together. So it's
more than Belotti?
Yeah, of course. It costs
You
more.
think so?
I think a striker that scores 20 goals is good.
By the way, I wanted to ask you as well, before I get to these guys, are you happy Zlatan's coming to the Euros? Because for everyone who's listening, and CI is Swedish, are you happy he's back in the team?
Yeah, super happy. I think I was one of those who wanted him at the World Cup, and I was very lonely in that opinion. He was in the US, so of course it was harder. And I started, my propaganda last year, and then Corona came, and it was nowhere close. But this year they started talking, and I'm so happy he's going, because I really think, I don't know, Sweden won't win, but I think with Zlatan, he deserves to do something on national team level, because he's done everything except the Champions League, but he hasn't on national team level done the big things. And I think he has it in him, especially in, knockout games, few tournament games, to do a difference. And Sweden has a nice team, so I'm super happy. It means everyone who looks like me, kids growing up like me, have someone in the national team that represents them. And I think in Italy, you're missing that, because you don't have any black players. Like I had big hope for Balotelli, Ogbonna, Keane, to be that guy. And I think it's important out of a symbolic value as well.
That is a really nice thought. Yeah, that makes me reflect as well, because if you see, there's a lot of national teams. I think the English one as well is so diverse, and it really shows. It really has a lot of role models for kids in the UK. Anybody else want to say something quick on Zlatan before we move on to especially Inter? Anyone?
Yeah, no, I agree, but I think Zlatan himself is an investment that Milan choose to make. Like you said, Arda, before, that the money you're giving him could have been invested like in another player, a young player. But let's keep in mind, as Sia said, that Zlatan brings more to just being a normal player to the team. And so I totally agree that since his arrival, Milan completely changed the mentality. And I really think that the intensity and the way you've been playing since 1 year, it's mostly to give credit to Zlatan that arrived and changed, that mentality, the presence in the changing room. And so I think it's a good thing that you renewed his contract.
Well, guys, let's move on then. Genoa Benevento, a draw for the two teams. Benevento in a real relegation battle. We'll look at it later when we look at the table. But Spezia Inter, we don't have Amy, so Sia, again, I'm sorry. I'm going to let you talk so much today, but tell us about the game. Is this just a misstep, or because you might not know this, but our Inter fan has been defined today by Luca. He's been baptized as the most pessimistic guy ever. He's the kind of guy who goes 15 minutes into an Inter game and goes, "Oh no, we're gonna choke, and he's literally after this game he said we're gonna choke the league. But I personally, and Luca says this always, when I see on the 70th minute onwards, Lukaku, Sanchez, and Lautaro at the same time on the pitch, it's game over. Luca always says this. He goes, when those three are on the pitch, there's no way these guys A are either not scoring or B are just not winning it. Well, how do you see this game, and how do you see Inter's chances, winning the S word? I don't want to say it because apparently you banned me from saying that word, but that one.
The S word. Yeah, no, I'm personally, I was terrorized by this game because this is the typical type of game where Inter, throws everything out. And I must say, after the first 15 minutes, I had a really bad feeling. And they score a very ridiculous goal. I mean, I would have saved that than you guys as well. And when you do that, I think Milan played 2 home games in a row, so they could be fresh, but Inter played away at Napoli, came home late, then they travel again, so you have 1 or 2 days only to work, and so you come to Spezia and you kind of probably want to take it calmly in the beginning, but you let a goal in so early because of a goalkeeper's mistake, so you have to chase, and this is the first time I think 90% of this team is doing something really important, playing game at the high level with the first place in the sites. So you let that goal in, and you can just sense the stress that goes through the team. But I think Inter played really well. I mean, the amount of chances, the fluidity of the goal scoring, the attacking, the build up, the defense. They didn't concede a single shot more than the one that Handanovic let in, and they created so much. I mean, they created so many chances. I just think that the last, freshness or touch or lucky bounce or something that was needed, because I think they played a really good game, football wise. And when Inter does that, it makes me feel calm because I think the performance is there. And seeing how the round went, it was okay because they went into it knowing that Milan lost. So, 1 point is better than 0. And then, Atalanta lost, so they're even more behind. So the round turned out well, but it was kind of frustrating to not get the 2 extra points because of another goalkeeper mistake, because I think Handanovic made a mistake against Napoli as well.
Well, this leads me to ask everyone as well. We always sometimes throw out like a name for who should be the next transfer for a team. Guys, little quick fire. Next Inter goalkeeper, apparently Musso or Cragno were the big names who were up, but also Silvestri. Out of the 3, who would you see best at Inter? Shall we start with Jonathan, who I haven't heard in a while?
Yeah, Musso, 100%. Because something he also knows how to do is he's good with a ball in his feet, which I think is very important in Serie A. And also he's not as injury prone as Cragno. And I think just as a general, athletic ability, so reflexes and such, I don't think Cragno has such a significant advantage or an advantage at all over Musso. So it's a logical choice.
Ricky?
Yeah, I agree. For me, it's Musso. Musso would be a very interesting choice.
Luca?
I'm going to give a quick, I'm going to throw another name in the ring.
Ooh.
I'm going to give a shout out to our friend from high school, Philipp Stankovich.
Oh, yeah.
And I say that maybe he could get. No, of course, I think he's still too young to actually take the number one spot. So I agree with
he can do
Musso.
a Donnarumma
Exactly.
style entrance.
Yeah.
Exactly. They just throw him into the mix sometime. No, but Musso, I agree with what Ricky and John are saying. Also because we've already seen with Andanovic that keepers that go from Udinese to Inter have turned out pretty well. So why not try it again?
All right, Sia, yours is the most important opinion.
Amongst the three, I like Musso.
You like Musso?
Yeah, I like Golini as well, but I think he kind of makes me feel unsafe with his. I like Golini because he's played, with Atalanta. They played Champions League. He's kind of exposed at times, but then I see that the kind of goal he lets in tonight, and I'm like, if I can't do that. So I like Musso a lot, and I think Musso has a lot of potential to improve still. You just feel that he needs to take the next step, and the Argentinians at Inter is always a good thing.
I was about to say that as well. There's something about them.
If there was money, I'd rather go outside of Italy, to be honest, because but communication with the defenders and everything like that is important. So I like Musso. I think he do well. I think Stankovich, I heard really good things about him, but I haven't seen him play yet. But I think the most important thing for Inter is to have a second goalkeeper that Conte wants to play, because Rado is good. He could play in a Serie A team, but he's never played. And Handanovic is 36, and he's never benched. So he never gets to rest mentally. And that's hard in his age. So I think if they don't sign a starting goalkeeper, they should at least get a second goalkeeper that they can use.
You know what, guys? I mean, we'll move on after this. I would have said Cragno, just because everything to me sounded perfect about Cragno, especially if Cagliari go down. You could probably get him on dirt cheap. He's Italian. He's kind of young. He knows Barella. I thought you guys would have said Cragno, but yeah, Musso.
Cragno is short.
He's a bit short. Okay.
Yeah, he's like 10 centimeters. Yeah, he's like 184, and
Okay.
I like that because he's more reflex, and he's probably quicker and that, but it means that some kind of goal you'll be more exposed to. So I really like him, but the shortness and the injuries have me a bit scared, because one of Handanovic very good things is that he's almost never injured. So
Handanovic is touching so much wood right now.
last year he was injured in the derby, and Padelli played, and that was no good. But he's played. He even played the cup.
He's Handanovic. To me, I was telling Amy today, our Interistas, that he kind of reminds me, obviously not in the same way, but a bit about like Ibra. Like on his best day, he can be the winner for Inter, and he can be really good despite his age. And on his worst day, he can be useless. I've seen it for Ibra as well. On his best days, he wins us for games. On his worst day, it's like playing in 10, and a bit like Handanovic as well. I think when he starts making his little mistakes and stuff, it could really cost you guys the game.
I would see Cragno really well in a team like Roma, perhaps Roma or Fiore or some.
Yeah, Roma needs a keeper as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
After Alisson, they just had a. They just.
I don't think Paul Lopez is terrible.
Go away.
Classic.
Such a meme.
I don't think Paul Lopez is that bad, but I also don't think he's the right keeper for Roma. If they want to get a keeper that's there for the next 5 years or so. So maybe they'll get the Inter reject, you could say, out of Cragno and Musso. If Inter gets one of them, then maybe Roma picks up the other.
Yeah. All right, moving on. So we got Sampdoria beating 1-0 Crotone and basically putting the last nail in the coffin to their relegation, which I think mathematically will happen next week if they lose. Torino-Bologna, 1-0. Torino getting 1 point for their relegation. What a goal by Mandragora, by the way. Absolute shout out to him. Juve-Parma, not that exciting, but Ricky, do you want to give us a couple words about Juve Parma? Oh, by the way, before you go, I just want to say one thing. When I saw the notification that Parma was winning and that Inter drew and Milan lost, the amount of memes I thought I was going to get about the Super League, which we're going to talk about in a minute, the amount of stuff I was going to see on Twitter, I was ready to take off the internet in my house.
Yeah, also because
you guys won.
Yeah, also because in at the same time, Spurs were 1-1 with Southampton. The day before, Chelsea 0-0 against Brighton. So it was a strange situation.
It's gonna be a meme.
But yeah, in any case, the goal, I think you guys saw it, the goal Parma scored. It was again Ronaldo being a bit, he jumps 2 meters when he has to get a header, but sometimes in the barriera he forgets. But fortunately, we managed to turn it around. One thing I think it was fundamental in this match that maybe it was missing in the past matches in which we lost points, like I think the incredible loss against Benevento, or also against Torino, the draw, that we were able to turn it around quite quickly. The 1-1 was just before the end of the first half, and then straight at the beginning of the second half, we went up, and then De Ligt managed to score the 3-1, and it was a better situation. I think that we played really well after the 2-1. I remember that we had like 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes that the game was being dominated by us, and we could have also scored there the 3-1. Overall, what I expected. So a good win, especially after the Atalanta game, which we didn't speak about because it was last match day. But quick comment on that. I think that was a type of game in which it should be like a 0-0. Both teams played well and no one dominated the other. For example, if we think about the game Juve lost against Inter in the Serie A, well done Inter, you deserve it. But this one was a game that should have been a draw, both teams. But in the end, it's like, you were saying about Milan before that they missed that ferocity to take the dirty win. Atalanta did take that dirty win. Juve always did it in the past years. So I can't blame the lads for losing against Atalanta. It's more the fact about losing games against Benevento, or drawing against Torino in the past month. But yeah, overall, we'll see.
Guys, Quadrado, I saw the stat. Correct me if I'm wrong. 18 assists this season. It's what a player.
Yeah.
The guy
It's
is
18 assists.
Yeah, he's got like about 18 assists or something. It's
in all competitions, in all competitions.
Yeah, in all competitions, But I think it's absolutely incredible. Well, Juve Parma, there's not much to say unless anyone wants to shout a comment. I think should we just move on? Anybody want to say anything? No.
No, I think Ricky summed it up perfectly.
Ricky. All right, Udinese Cagliari.
All defenders scoring is quite interesting because it's a lot. Juve's
Imagine a brace by Alexandro.
I have him on the bench in my Fantacalcio, so.
Oh, see, you do Fantacalcio too.
Yeah.
I'm so angry at Luca underneath here because I played against him and Osimhen scored, so we tie, and I'm second now.
I think it says a lot about Juve's problem because I think Juve plays well. I think they create so many chances. They're a bit fragile, but I think they create a lot and should be doing better, seeing how they play. But I think Morata and Kulusevski and Ronaldo, they're just not delivering like they should. And it's good that defenders, step forward and score, but they need to get some strikers goals soon.
By the way, you mentioned him now, but Kulusevski, another Swedish footballer. I'd like to ask you about two players. One of them I have in my Fanta as well. These two players, two youngsters, Svanberg and Kulusevski in Serie A. What do you think? Two Swedish footballers, how do you see their future? Do you reckon, especially Kulusevski, how do you see his future? But Svanberg as well, do you reckon is he nearly ready for a big team?
I think Svanberg is interesting for many big teams. Maybe not Inter and Juve, but I think Milan is going to be difficult because Kessie and Benacer will always play. But I think he could have been the Tonali of this year. And I think for Roma and Lazio and Fiorentina and, this kind of team, Atalanta maybe, he's good because, he can score, he can defend. I think he's very versatile. And I think he just needs the last step to a new coach that is going. I like what Mihailovic is doing to him, but I think he has a big potential. I think he's quite cheap because he makes little money and, he's Swedish. So
because he's not called Vanbergo. If he was called Mattias Vanbergo, he'd be for 40 million, maybe asking for
Marino, it would have been but I really appreciate it. And, the Swedish players in Serie A has good reputation because they are very calm, very serious, very, they are signing a lot of Swedish players because of this. So I think it's a good investment. I think Kulusevski, he's been playing in so many positions. I think he's been, in and out of the starting 11. He's been playing sometimes striker with Ronaldo, sometimes with Morata. He's played sometimes right wing, so I think it's not easy for a player on his age to do this many things. And I think it's also difficult because at Parma, he was playing at a team that always counterattacked. So he was very good with Gervinho in the 1-against-1s and the technique that he can use. But at Juve, he plays teams that are 10 in the penalty area and defend. And it's not easy. But I think he has a very tough mentality. He's from the same area that I am from. He's always been hardworking, big talent. So I think he has everything to do well, but I would be interested in seeing how he does with the coach that, uses him, knows how to use him, so he doesn't change all the time. Because I think when you're young, it's too much instructions, especially in Italy where tactics are so important.
All right, and then we'll move on to the next two games. Roma-Atalanta, there's not much to say, guys. Atalanta missed so many chances in the first half. Good game by Paul Lopez. Roma, Cristante decided that today was going to be the day he did something, and what a goal. An absolute screamer from like about 40 yards out, I think. Really good goal, but 1-0 draw. And then Napoli-Lazio. Jonathan, I hate to do this to you, buddy, but do you want to just give us a couple words? And I'll start off by saying, wow, what a Napoli. It really shows that, in my opinion, I love Gattuso, don't get me wrong. But if they had like a good manager, Napoli, I think, could have been up there with Inter with winning the league this year. Oh, did I say that Inter's going to win the league? Sorry. I mean, up there. Johnny, you want to give us a couple words on Lazio?
No, I always thought we were going to get destroyed because, in my opinion, Napoli has by far the third best squad in the league. They have so many insane players. And as you said, maybe if a better coach would be higher up, but maybe Gattuso is a good coach. We don't know. But it sounds like Gattuso is going to Fiorentina, so that'll be a big testing ground for him. And for Napoli, they have so many good players. I think they might sign Spalletti, and I do believe that with Spalletti, they might even be able to push for a title race.
Wow, you think so with Spalletti?
Yeah, if Inter doesn't spend any more money, they don't spend anything in the next window, and perhaps they even lose a player or something, and Napoli strengthens, there's a chance. We don't know.
What about? By the way, your microphone is acting up a bit. Try to connect it, disconnect it for a second. Oh, we lost Sia for a second there. Sorry, I'll just.
It's all crumbling. Everything's falling.
Everything's
apart right
crumbling.
now.
I think it's time for Lucas' jersey collection.
Yeah.
Exactly. In moments of difficulty.
No.
Unfortunately, I have one
to,
here. I have
I
one.
wanted to ask Jonathan if he could just give us a couple words on Lazio itself. What do you think about?
Well, the season's doomed now.
Well, especially tell us something about Monday's game, especially because obviously, guys, Monday we've got Lazio Milan, which could be fireworks. It could be such an important game. Tell us about what do you think about Lazio after this game, and tell us what you think about Monday, because Monday we're going in unsure, and apparently you guys are going in unsure.
Yeah, so you're still in a okay-ish position. We're in a doomed position, and if we win, there's like a glimmer of hope. And if we lose, you just put us out of our misery. You just end us. You just end the pain nice and quickly.
Oh, wow. The delicious words, Jonathan. Right. So, guys, someone mentioned money, so we got to talk about it. We'll do it quickly because we're at 34 minutes. But European Super League, guys, the last 3 days have been an absolute, excuse my language, shit show. What the hell was going on? I was shocked. Before the Sassuolo game, Maldini said that he had no clue about it. Like, he found out like we did on Sunday. Isn't that just crazy that Paolo Maldini, sporting director, finds out on Sunday? I'll tell you my version. I personally thought this was all a bluff by Perez and that lot to get more like a better deal with UEFA. But then there was a point where it was just like, guys, these guys aren't bluffing. Then, there's some shady stuff going on with the whole, apparently UEFA has been paying the British teams to get out, and without the British teams, you can't do this. But this looked for a second like it was gonna happen, and I see. Obviously, I don't want to mention it, but you are older than us, so you've seen more of Champions League glory from the Italian teams. But how does this make you feel, especially thinking about the history and the past of the Champions League? Because obviously, Italian teams, especially Milan, represent the Champions League. Inter has done the triplete. Juve has, Juve. But but yeah, like, how did this make you feel? Did you feel betrayed? Because obviously our teams, apart from Lazio, were in this for a second there. I nearly feel betrayed. What about you?
I'm very unsentimental when it comes to football, because I if I would have been very sentimental, I probably would have stopped following this sport. I think makes 100% sense that Inter, Juventus, and Milan wanted to jump on this. Someone comes, says, "Hey, you get 2, 3, 150 million euros a season." All of the clubs are bleeding, so they're just yes. I think. What I'm for, so I think everyone said everything about it, but I'm for sports and the risk in sports, and I kind of feel that if Inter would go on to win the S word, it would feel nicer because it's been 10 tough years, and if I don't have that risk of misery in football or elimination or relegation, for me football dies. So that's my more or less only problem with the Super League, that it's not based on sports merits. And I really understand that these guys, say, without these clubs, I'm not getting the money. But I was so confused by the fact that one, they hadn't worked the politicians. Because UEFA, with 2 phone calls to the British government, just threw every club out of the bridge, even spreading false information, because clubs didn't want to, get out of the league, but they made it sound like that. So, Boris Johnson in himself involved, and without the British team, this is impossible more or less to do, because they are so watched. So that's one thing I was surprised for. And the second thing I was surprised for is that they didn't check the, what would the fans say? What would the players say? What would the coach say? You have a situation, where Guardiola or Klopp and the guys are like, we're so against this that we could even, leave. And the players as well. So that all of that is so strange to me, because if it was just to put pressure on UEFA, they could have created a WhatsApp group and to get up. But now, and so I think I'm not against the idea. I'm kind of intrigued by it, and I really hear what the guys are saying, especially with the loss of money. I know that the younger generations really don't watch 90 minutes of football like I used to do, because it was the only thing I knew. But so that's, I get that, but I think it's been handled strangely, and I really don't like that UEFA comes out looking like the good guys, the guys that care about football, the non-money guys. I puke on that, because now they've done the new Champions League format that is awful. It's bad for the players. It's more games, probably more big games, but it's more games that they play in an already packed schedule. It's more money for broadcasters to pay. So, UEFA and clubs, of course, get a big amount of the money. But I just think it should have been handled differently. And I honestly, I hold no grudge against Inter for wanting to jump on it. I don't care at all. I totally understand them, because at a certain point, if it wasn't filthy rich companies running these teams, we'd be bankrupt. So, and those guys are filthy rich for making filthy rich decisions. So if someone comes waving at you with a shitload of money and you don't say no, I'd be more angry. So why didn't you jump on the Super League train? You're stupid, So but I'm against the idea of the tournament in that way,
Yeah.
and the way it would impact football. But I think it has a lot of good things, and I think in the future we'll see it just modified.
Yeah, there's so many really good points you just said there. I think it kind of baffles me as well, the timing of it, because, wait for the season to be over, even to announce this. The fact that so many people were apparently, you never know, but apparently so unaware of it. It's, these guys run multi-million, nearly billion-dollar industries. They must know how to deal with business. Like, how can you, fuck it up so badly? Like the whole
That's
communication
strange as
thing.
well, because the blame of all this goes straightly to the clubs, but they, if they were going to handle so many billions, they probably should have founded a company that was handled by Mr. X and Y and Z that could take the blame.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's just strange because all the owners were involved, but like Marotta said, of course we didn't know, but the news always came.
Yeah.
I think Maldini didn't know, but whispers, especially in Italy, always come to your ears. People know everything about everything in Italy, so I think it's just strange because Maldini, he's a sports guy. He's athlete. He's probably one of the best examples of playing fair and being the best and earning it. So it's just very strange, but I kind of enjoyed the last 3 days because I didn't feel alive in this way for so long when it came to football.
That's it's a really interesting thought. I didn't think about it that way, but and I also love, you guys might agree with me, how all of a sudden everyone went from COVID experts to financial experts in like 2 days. Twitter, everyone was I define it this way, and excuse me if I say this, but there was 2 types of people on Twitter those days. It was either football communists, all about romanticism and saving the small clubs and whatnot, or there was the financial experts who are like, oh no, we got to make this money and whatnot. All I'm saying is, I love how what Evra said. It was just like, you see, as soon as money is involved, everyone gets to speak. When it's about racism, no one gives a shit. It's like that guy from a Rangers game who was racially abused, and UEFA, after like 2 weeks, they gave him a ban or something. They should have just, I don't know what to say. Like,
yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. Also, the fact that you brought up UEFA, the fact that UEFA comes out looking like the good guys, that's probably the worst thing about the whole situation. But yeah,
they put Nasser, the PSG owner, now at the head of ECA. So I kind of I don't know Nasser, so I respect what he does with PSG, but he's the guy that broke financial fair play. He broke the transfer market for Neymar. He broke all those stuff. He's getting the broadcast deals with UEFA. He's getting the Qatar World Cup, where thousands of people have died to build stadiums.
I was just googling if he was. He's from Qatar.
No one cared about that. But so as soon as people and I love to see that, because the English guys are like, yeah, we saved football here and there, but they already have a Super League. The broadcast money that they get, and they're already like Crystal Palace makes more money than Inter, Juve, and Milan because of the TV deal. More like, not exactly, but you get the point. So I think the Premier League clubs are already there. They're already in a reality where they are a Super League, and that's because that's why I don't understand now that Sheffield says, like, we got a lot of help from them. They're good. They are that. They are here. And here's Inter, Juve, and Milan bleeding, and not the same deal. And they, of course, jumped on the money train. Like, it's the discussion gets so strange. Like, what should Inter, Milan, and Juve have done? Like, say no?
Yeah.
Well,
when you have a business and they literally tell you, listen, your business for the last 20 years has been dependent on how well you do on the pitch. I'm giving you the opportunity to make a crap load of money independent of how you do on the pitch.
Especially after the pandemic.
If it was my business, I would have always said yes.
Yeah, you take it. I think that...
Go, Luca.
Just quickly, I think the only issue is that, it's a smart decision business-wise, but since football is a very unique industry where it's so influenced by your supporters. I think they should have at least considered, what the fans think about it. So yeah. Totally saying, I'm on board, but first let me actually hear back from my millions of fans who are going to influence this decision. But yeah, Riki, go on, because I kind of interrupted you.
Yeah, no, past days have been pretty hectic. I want to make it clear, like my position, I'm still kind of confused, and I'm not for or against this Super League. I'm trying to understand how everything around is going. We have to consider, as you said, one thing that I don't like is hypocrisy. Is it hypocrisy in English? Yeah. That now they made it look as if these 12 clubs, as Florentino Perez said yesterday, dropped an atomic bomb. And now the UEFA and FIFA are looking as the good guys, and that they're for the football fans and stuff. While we already know that the football system, it's 10 or 20 years that it's all based around money, and UEFA and FIFA are, let's say, the real owners of this. I was listening yesterday to Conte after the Inter match. He was just saying about this. And he said something that I agreed with. I agreed with him for the first time after 2014. And he was saying that, in fact, UEFA doesn't distribute the money correctly. And those big teams, those top clubs, especially with the COVID situation, they have more costs and different than smaller clubs. And this was an opportunity. Then, obviously, if we watch it from a football fan point of view, I know that there is merit, which is extremely important, and I'm not saying that shouldn't be considered. But we also have to consider the other aspects, because football is a business, an industry at 360 degrees. So, just that.
I think a big problem today now is the big clubs spend a lot of money on players from the smaller clubs, and that means the smaller clubs signs smaller players from even smaller clubs, and then the even smaller clubs, so just to give you an example, if Bari is in Serie A, that's going to mean they're going to sign Lecce players, right? And that's going to mean that Lecce signs the Taranto players, because, they're in the same area, they're going to scout, they're going to want to invest their money. And this whole system is collapsing because nobody has money to spend, right? So the football system needs money, and the money isn't coming from the big clubs anymore. And that means the small clubs aren't spending money on the, Serie B players, the Serie C players, the third division players. So the whole football system is standing still, and I don't think the Super League was the only solution, because of course Inter could spend less, Milan could spend less, Juve could spend less. But if you look at Inter, for example, Inter was in a stage, right, where they've just gone, became a stable Champions League team. They've just signed a big coach, a big name. They've just signed Lukaku, Eriksen, Hakimi, these guys. And then the pandemic hit. So it's not like Bayern, who has had, 20 years to build their stability, their project. They rob all the German clubs of all the good players. They get the most money. They can just continue like that all the time. Because it depends on where the club is. Real Madrid, they have that stadium project. That's huge. So the pandemic hits them differently than the English clubs or other clubs. And I agree that they should lower the costs in football and have a sustainable model. But it's very easy to say after the pandemic. Now we know. And I think that's why the Super League clubs are bringing this to the table, because the pandemic has shown that the system is broken and it needs to be fixed, because otherwise football will die. And I'm not talking about Inter, Milan, and Juventus dying, because seeing the amount of fans, they'll always, make a way. But, Atalanta is what Atalanta is today, because they cashed 200 million euros from Inter, Milan, and Juventus buying players, and then they, of course, made the Champions League and all that. But their finances are good also because of Inter, Milan, and Juve.
Absolutely. As well. And then one last thing I just want to add, which I think it wasn't mentioned, but it's also important because it's something that you build with years and years. It's the status of these top clubs. These top clubs are considered, let's say, top clubs or like this because of the years and years of continuous development and investment that they have made. And so I don't want to say it in a harsh way, but if we take these 12 or 15 clubs out of Europe or the national leagues, like if we take Milan, Inter and Juve out from the Serie A, what do we have? What are we left with? Not much, because these clubs give a very important contribution to the whole European football and to the national football.
The TV money in Italy is big, very much because of the three top teams. And I can honestly say, maybe it shouldn't be that way, because maybe the newly promoted teams need more money. But in the end, Inter and Milan and Juve will always say, hey, when we play on football, there are 2 million people watching. Why shouldn't we get more money? So I think that the whole system is very fragile and very broken, and needs to be improved, because the new Champions League is not good. Is not good at all.
And then very, very last thing, and then we can move on. I see Ale, which is pissed off.
I just wanted to say as well that I was reading, because when you guys are speaking, do you see that UEFA said that the English clubs can have more, like Wembley and other in the UK, there can be more Euro games because of how well they behaved because of this thing?
I think also this is completely nonsense. Like, now it's not because these teams, like, one thing I'm afraid of is like the average fan, or like the WIF, if now they think about Juve or Agnelli as the number one enemies, or these teams, like, this is complete nonsense. And also the minacce, how's it in English?
Threats.
The threats they made about not allowing players to be in the national teams. Like, what are we talking about? Come on, do we really have to arrive to this? This is just embarrassing.
UEFA they wouldn't have gained anything from that. Try selling a World Cup to people without Ronaldo, Messi, and all the top 100
that's just
footballers
embarrassing.
in the world.
And now also, go on.
With how they will treat like Juve and Real Madrid, because I think Florentino is a great president, and the Real Madrid guys love Florentino. Like, why should UEFA come and say, Real Madrid aren't going to play the Champions League anymore, or their players are not going to be, it's just ridiculous, because then Real Madrid's crisis will be even bigger. And if I'm UEFA, like, honestly, even though Agnelli stepped down and Florentino stepped down, I don't want to piss off the biggest team in the history of the club, because then I show that I'm just, everything I said that the Super League clubs, I will be that. And they already are, UEFA, they are money hungry, and they, but they work well in like propaganda and how they move, because they are heavy. You can't say anything, because Jeffrey is on all the day, all the newspapers, all the channels. He's everywhere, and he's, just spitting thing after thing after thing. And people are like, yeah, you're right, you're good, you're here, you're there. It's they work well, and I think I really expected the Super League clubs, with the amount of billions involved, to be prepared, but they weren't. So some of it is because of them.
And then last thing, like the investment Juve made don't look at me like that.
Ricky famous words. It's as famous. He should get a T-shirt with his last thing.
I think
because
it was about 20 minutes ago when Ricky said, one last thing. Go on.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that after we finish, when I'll be in my bed about to go to sleep, I'll be like, I should have said that. It's just like Juve buying Cristiano Ronaldo. It's not just an investment for Juve. It was an investment for the whole of Serie A and for the Italian football, and many people don't understand that. And so, just this, sorry.
Just threw that in there.
All right. Well, I want to lift the mood just a tad because of what we just spoke. So I'm going to do a little game with Sia as he is our guest. And I already prepped him. I didn't prep him. I told him what was going to happen. So we'll do this. Then we'll talk about the UCL spots. And then we'll say bye to Sia. He'll go back to his normal life. And we'll just finish off the episode. But Sia, I prepared this for you today. It's a little wheel of controversial opinions. So I got 8 people here. First one, Max Allegri, Andanovic, Icardi, Ibra, Ronaldo, Mourinho, Conte, and Donnarumma. We're gonna spin the wheel twice, and you're gonna give me one controversial opinion on who it lands on both times, and hopefully it will. You won't get into trouble, but it'll be interesting to hear unusual or controversial opinion about that guy. It's a really slow spinner, but all right. Oh, first one is who himself. Controversial opinions, yeah.
Compared to Messi, he's 10 levels below.
Oh, I have a question. Is Ibra better than Ronaldo?
As a player, I prefer Ibra. As career, I prefer Ronaldo.
But
Yeah.
fair enough.
I agree. I fully agree with that. Ronaldo is 10 levels below Messi. I can agree with that. Ronaldo is, I think, the second, probably the second best player in history. Maybe I always feel wrong talking about this. Yeah, exactly. Because I never watched Maradona. I've never Pelé. Well, not even my father watched Pelé. And but between Messi and Ronaldo, I totally agree. I think Messi
really
is just
comes
completely
down
different.
to, what you prefer, and I've always preferred players who are different than goal scorers. I think Ronaldo is an example of the perfect athlete, how serious you can be, what you can do with work, how good he is on his head and stuff like that. But for me, he's probably not even top 5 in the GOAT discussion.
Wow.
But
Wow.
I really
we all agree. We all agree on the fact
bro.
that Messi's pure talent. Messi's pure talent, and you can't argue with that. But
hope it
still,
doesn't make this Ronaldo Twitter, because they do a lot of ratio and hair.
Yeah.
I'm too old for those things.
I was gonna say, for me, if you want to put that into context, imagine if Messi had Ronaldo's body.
He would have been worse.
Yeah,
I think. What I mean is, imagine Messi.
he would have been
with Ronaldo's athleticism. Like, imagine if he had that. I think.
No, but imagine Jovinko with Peter Crouch's body.
No, but what I mean is, whatever. Go away.
Yeah, and by the way, Messi just scored a hat trick against Getafe, but still,
no,
Ronaldo did it against Parma.
Vintage Zlatan was very much, technical, fast, big, and strong. He used to kind of play football for fun, and then Mourinho and Capello and the guys just told him stop dribbling, start scoring, and he became a machine. But vintage Zlatan at Inter, he was just dribbling and then doing nice stuff for his YouTube.
I'm kind of wishing he comes out now. We'll do one more. Oh, it's Allegri. Oh.
Allegri.
Yeah, I don't know what to say controversial about him. I just say I consider him one of the best coaches in the world. I think he got a lot of shit in the last years at Juve, maybe rightly, but I think any club that gets him is lucky.
Okay.
And only bad thing he's done was losing the Scudetto with Milan. But if you're up against Montari's goal, it's very difficult to win. But his Cagliari is one of the nicest Serie A teams I've seen. I don't know if you guys remember. Maybe you were too young. But
with Matri, I remember.
Yeah, Matri. I think it was Nene and someone more on top. They were playing like 4-3-3. Very fun to see. Very good. So I think he's a great coach, and I think any club that gets him is good. I just don't understand why he's still not working.
All right, I'll do one last one.
Arda, wait, I have a controversial opinion.
Oh,
I have a controversial opinion. Yeah, it's not too controversial. It's just that after the show on Sky that he did like a month ago, he was too overhyped. Bro, after that, I was seeing on Twitter, after that thing on Sky, it looked like he was God. Bro, everyone was like, Allegri needs to come. Like, I understand. I also really like him. He's a great manager. But after that, bro, every single Instagram post was Allegri. So it was a bit over the top.
Yeah, we'll do one more because I want to hear something that, I don't know, will like shut down. I want to hear something that will get you into trouble. Nah, just kidding.
The Ronaldo one is already juicy.
Yeah, but right.
I don't even know if it's going to be controversial.
No, I've said so many things about him. I think he to be honest, this season he's an average Serie A goalkeeper. I think Inter winning the title not with but despite of Handanovic season is very impressive because they could have been celebrating the S on Sunday if he hadn't thrown away 4 points. So
Basically, yeah.
Spin
All right,
it
fair enough.
again.
No, we're done. Because we don't wanna keep.
I was going to say that if I got Conte that he's a top 5 coach in the world, and there's
Well, that's just stupid. No,
there's
just
many people don't.
Ooh.
no. Yeah, to be fair, we.
Vabbè, Pioli, Gattuso, Inzaghi,
Yeah.
Seedorf,
Wait,
Mihajlovic.
Italiano,
Brocchi.
No,
You know,
no,
apparently-
Brocchi, please no, bro. Brocchi, I also follow Monza because
Yeah, I was about to say, apparently
I live near
Brocchi has,
Monza.
he has the
Bro,
best team in Serie B and can't do anything.
No,
I
yeah,
used
everyone
to-
hates him. Everyone wants him gone.
I used to go to the Primavera derbies when Brocchi was the coach. And there was always someone who'd be like, insulting him because he was the coach. And once he was like, I'm just coaching the boys. I felt so sad because,
Poor guy.
yeah, it was-
All right, we'll get on to then the juiciest part of this episode, and then we'll be done because it's getting late.
we have
But
Inter in this.
excuse me, we don't have
We have
Inter.
Inter, the
Well,
Champions League.
see,
Okay,
come on.
Bad joke. Yeah. I
How the thing is this, Phil. At least when you will win, not if when you will win VS, you'll get an even easier Champions League group, and maybe you won't get out of. Maybe.
that's why I wanted to win the Europa League final.
Yeah.
I didn't care about winning the final. I just wanted the easy Champions League group, especially with no preseason. I just knew, if we catch COVID in the beginning of the season, we're going to be out.
I have a question before we get to this. As an Inter fan, Inter season, if they do win VS, is a great season. How big for you as an Inter fan was that Champions League? Like, does it really disappoint you, or is it just like, shit happens? At least we did these other things, or is it something that really stains you?
No, I was really disappointed back then. I before the season, I kind of always see Juve as favorite because they should be the favorite with the team that they have, the squad that they have, the players, Cristiano Ronaldo, and I saw the season turning out with Juve, Napoli, and Inter fighting for Scudetto. I thought it would be more important to go through the Champions League to the round of 8 because of the money, and then you can get knocked out, but the money was very needed. And I really think Inter performed well football-wise in the Champions League. I think there's been a lot of talk the last 2 or 3 months about Inter playing bad football. But if you check Inter's Champions League matches, the ones against Borussia at home that we dropped points, the ones against Shakhtar away and home, the one against Real Madrid away, the football Inter performed in those games is some of the best football I've seen the team play. But, I just don't think they were there mentality-wise. I think that they changed a lot after they beat Juve. And after, I think that was the turning point of those. And after the Coppa Italia against Milan, when, Lukaku and Ibra went head-to-head.
Yeah.
I sensed something changed in the team there. But I was so disappointed because I really thought that they could have done better, and I really thought Conte could have coached a bit better. Not so much, but a bit better. And I also felt that we were kind of robbed by the referees, but it sounds so crybaby when you say that after being eliminated. But I really think that was the case. So, but no, I was very. I think if you aren't disappointed at that, you can't say, well, now we go for the league. No, it's not like that. I thought Inter would die. I honestly was 100% sure that loss and that.
I thought Conte was gonna get fired because of that.
Yeah, I thought now this is over because they're never going to handle this loss. And I think that's impressive with what Conte and Oriale and the team has done, that they reacted well. Because after that, I think it's from the 9th round against Sassuolo or something, Inter changed the way they played. And they found a way to both, keep the ball, to tag, to counter. So something good came out of it. But people kind of say, yeah, Inter were knocked out, so they're supposed to be good. No, if you're knocked out that way, you're supposed to die.
Yeah.
A bit like Juve against Porto. Like, I'm 100% sure if Juve would have gone on, they would have won more games. I'm 100% sure. Because now they just feel, oh, it's the same situation. Oh, it's the same situation. We're not going to score. We're not going to turn it around. So I think they did well.
I was more afraid of the what people would have thought outside of Serie A. It's like, oh, these guys are gonna win the league in Italy and they can't get out of this group. That's what because I hate that, because like us five, we watch Serie A so much, we live it so much. It annoys me so much when people like UK people are like, oh, Milan, they're really shit, aren't they now? Oh, you guys are what, second in Italy, and you can't be one of the worst playing Man United. It's like, guys, come on, like that really annoys me. Anyway, let's move on to the upcoming games for these. These 5 are the Champions League, let's say, spot contenders. Obviously, we didn't put Inter Milan for obvious reasons, but these are the 5. We put Milan, Atalanta, Juve, Napoli, and Lazio. And guys, this could be it. So these are the next 6 games, that these 5 teams have. So Milan has to play Lazio next, Benevento, Juve, Torino, Cagliari, and Atalanta. So, quick overview of Milan. We got 3 massive games, direct contenders with Lazio, Juve, and Atalanta. All 3 away from home as well, which could be the end of us. And then we got 3 more games against relegation battlers, which we all know at the end of the season always, come out with full force. So, I am not going to lie, even as a Milan fan, I am scared shitless.
We're screwed.
We're
screwed.
I think we're absolutely screwed.
I think we're gonna. Well, I don't know. If we actually don't get Champions League after this whole season, I don't know. I don't know if football is for me. But
no,
I think I was saying to Luca before the episode,
I can't deal with that.
I don't deserve this. I don't deserve psychologically to go through up, being first. People talking about Scudetto, and then this just up and down.
That's why I never talked about Scudetto. I never.
No,
you can look at all the podcasts.
Like,
no, I know.
But
I'm saying personally, you can look at all the podcasts, all my WhatsApp messages. I've never spoken about the Scudetto.
I'm gonna listen to our podcast, bro. I don't even like them.
Yeah, exactly. No one should do that. But no, I never talked about the Scudetto because I knew it was gonna end like this at the end of the season. I didn't think it was going to be this drastic, but I knew that Inter was better than us, and I knew that our goal was always going to be the Champions League, so I didn't want to have double disappointment in case we didn't even get Champions League, and I'm like, oh, okay, we didn't even win the Scudetto. Scudetto was never the true ambition, but now we're even risking Champions League. That I don't know about the first 5 games. I just hope we get as many points as possible because I don't want to go to Atalanta, lose, and have Gasperini jumping around again because then I think I might drive to Bergamo and...
Bro, you didn't have a license, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm going to jail anyways for what I do, so it doesn't matter.
I personally think that if we get 6 points out of Lazio and Benevento, then we can keep our hopes high. If we don't get 6 points out of Lazio and Benevento, we are screwed, I think. Well, we'll move on to Atalanta, guys. Atalanta have a couple of so-called what I call useless teams, i.e. teams that basically don't have a goal anymore. They're done with their season. And in the order, they have Bologna, Sassuolo, Benevento, Parma, Genoa, and Milan. So Bologna and Sassuolo have nothing to fight for. I think that's going to be easy. Benevento are still in a relegation battle. Parma, by that point, might have already either gone down or saved themselves, so we don't know. Genoa, I think, would have probably been saved. And then last game, they have us. Again, I don't know how it's going to go. I see Ricky's giving us the old flick, but...
Yeah, the last game against Atalanta is it's
I
brutal.
Swear,
like
if that is a deciding game,
yeah,
I think I might like turn off. When you like turn off I think I might turn off everything and just like not like maybe watch the game and maybe like shut off for a couple of days. Honestly, for my mental sake. And then Juve, Ricky.
We have a tough one, eh?
Yeah, do you want to tell us about the games and what's going on?
Yeah, we have, now Fiorentina and Udinese. Fiorentina will have to go to Firenze. I mean, the 3-0 loss. Yeah, but the 3-0 loss...
It's like, against Juve, they can be bad for 2 months, but against Juve, it's the game of the life.
Yeah,
in fact, exactly. And this was seen when we lost the 3-0 at home against them. So it's a tough away game.
I think Udinese as well is a very, they play their Catenaccio, and they do it with the big guys, the 190, tough guys. They're going to fight. They're going to, slow down the tempo. They are. I think that's my worst game in Serie A is Udinese away, especially if it's like raining or something, because you just know you're going to go there. You're not going to get a point. You're going to get injuries on players and yellow cards and red cards, and it's just nasty.
I'll tell you this.
And
When I
then-
think of Udinese away, I think of two moments. The first one is Romagnoli scoring in the 97th minute. And the other one is Rodrigo Becao on the opening day of Serie A scoring a header on his only, his first goal in Serie A and then scoring the second one against us again. Sorry,
And
go on,
Suso's
Ricky.
best ever goal for Milan.
Oh, yeah.
No, and
yeah,
then-
If you remember.
yeah.
And then we have
Deflected, right? No.
Wait,
Was it
let's let Ricky speak because
Yeah,
he.
sorry, Ricky. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
No,
because Ricky
because
never
then-
speaks, does he?
Oh.
Go on.
Then we have three very tough games. It's Milan, Sassuolo, Inter, and so those will be very crucial, especially
Yeah, but-
Sassuolo because it's away. Yeah, I know it's not that relevant with COVID, but still, Sassuolo.
No, but Sassuolo is one of those teams that has nothing to fight for. Against us, you know what? It might be though. Against us, it was because of the whole Super League thing was fresh. So I think we're.
I
really
hate that
good
so
at
much. The Zerbi acting as if he saved football.
Oh
bro.
yeah.
Shut
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Okay, you got a good win against Milan. Congratulations. Honestly, they played a very good match.
Yeah.
Saying that you defended football.
I
What are you
can't
talking
stand
about?
Like I used to be one of the the Zerbi hipsters, but I can't stand him.
The Zerbi hipsters, I love
Yeah,
that.
the
Also
guy
that-
Polo and the Zerbi is playing the best football in the world.
Yeah.
I
And
can't.
also that what we were saying before, with all the clubs that have benefited from Milan, Inter, and Juve, Sassuolo is one of them. Sassuolo is one of those clubs that has gotten so much money from us, from Inter, and from Juve, and then
more than €1,
yeah,
you got like
exactly.
But I think with Sassuolo, I like their project and the way they play and all that. But I really don't like the Zerbi, the way he talks, because now he's suddenly, God's gift.
Hyping up.
I really can't stand him. I like Italiano when he spoke. He's like, I don't care about the Super League. I have a team to save. And Zerbi talks like that. He has nothing to risk because Sassuolo is in no man's land. He's nothing to risk, so he's like, I don't want to play. Just play instead. Yeah.
Also, on
really-
paper, Sassuolo has a really good team now.
they're
I don't
good.
think we should treat him like a Cinderella story
No,
anymore.
they have the
Yeah.
best Italian striker in Berardi, for me.
Really?
Yeah, I think he quality-wise.
And Caputo?
No, Caputo heads the goal in. He's the Luca Toni of the century, But
That's another controversial opinion. Thank you, Sia.
he scores the goals and he's strong in the box and does the left foot, right foot header. But Berardi is quality. 100 goals in Serie A with Sassuolo more or less only. It's crazy.
All right. Yeah, man.
Juve-
Obviously,
Sorry, I just wanted to say this about Juve. Inter has to have done everything before Juventus away in the 37th round, because otherwise Orsato will turn into prime Messi, and it's over. It cannot happen.
It had to
Inter
happen.
can't go to Juventus Stadium not having it done, because then it's over. Honestly, then I won't even watch, because I want Conte to go there calmly, having won. He deserves to do that.
The Guard of Honor. Wait,
that-
do they do that in Italy? Do they do the Guard of Honor? I forgot.
I don't know. It's 9 years we're winning. Sorry.
Bruh. Okay, I will move
Sorry.
on. We'll move
No,
on.
I would do it. I would do it. Like respect.
No, I would
cry.
never. I
You
would never
fucking
want to
cry.
see Inter do the guard. Inter did it once for Milan after the World Cup. I think it's like 2006 or something. And I think the World Cup, back then was a big thing, so that was good. But if Inter does a guard of honor to Juve, that's going to make me more angry than the Super League. Then I'm really going to be one of those guys that says, I'm no longer a fan of this club.
All right, we'll move on. But Napoli has to play. Napoli on paper might look easy, but I think it's good. It could be a tricky one because they got Torino, Cagliari, and Spezia, who are all three relegation candidates. We know how it went with Spezia in the first round. Torino are looking like we're getting a bit of pace under. Oh, pace under for what? What was I about to say? Sorry, I mean they're getting the ball rolling now, and they're playing a bit better, especially like the Roma game. Udinese, obviously, you never know. But then Fiorentina, if they aren't saved in the second last game of the season, could be an interesting one as well. And then last but not least, and then we'll finish the episode on this one. Jonathan, do you want to talk about the Lazio games which are coming up and how you feel?
Oh, Jonathan is still here.
Yeah, Jonathan hasn't spoken in about 45 minutes.
I'm down on football right now. I don't like it that much. I don't know. We have Milan.
Not a nice night.
We're gonna bottle it. We have Genoa. We're gonna cringe that as well. We're gonna win because they're even bigger chokers than us. We're gonna win because we're like already a Serie B team. Roma's literally coin flip. And Sassuolo, the season's over by then, so we'll probably lose. We won't care. And yeah,
where to find an analytical speech on football and where to find them, Jonathan. All right, well, guys, we'll just finish off by looking literally just with the table up in front of us. But why is this working? Yeah, sorry.
I think everything is decided with the Monday game. Like, if Milan Lazio is like really big, because if Milan loses, then it's more or less a free fall. Like, I think Napoli has a tough one because Torino and Cagliari, after each other, they're both relegation battling and they're doing well. But Napoli has such a good form. I just think if Milan points, you give them the extra fuel. I think that's, the signals are very clear. So I think that's the bad thing with Milan for the Sassuolo loss. It's just that it told every Serie A team, like, Napoli, they don't score 5 goals if they don't know that we can do this. Like, we can honestly go and do this. So I think if Milan would drop points against Napoli, it's going to get ugly, because I more or less consider Atalanta done. The schedule is too good. And they're also different. Atalanta, when they play the bottom teams, they have so many solutions. But like, if you have a Catenaccio team playing, Milan, it can get ugly. So I think the Monday game is going to be crucial, and Milan will have to hope that some team drops point before they play, because otherwise pressure. If you don't have Zlatan, the young guys. It's
we can't handle it.
Ugly.
All right, well, guys, we'll end on that. It's been 1 hour 17. We won't do our usual shebang because it's already too late. But guys, it's been a really good episode. I really enjoyed that. We talked about some really interesting things. I'll sign off our panel here. So Luca, thank you for being here, buddy. It was really great to have you again after a week of absence.
Always great to talk about some calcio, and hope you guys enjoyed the episode.
Jonathan, I know it's been a bad night for you, but it's always a pleasure to have you too, and see you next Monday.
See you guys.
Oh,
Straight to the point.
Oh, by the way, donate to something for poor old Jonathan, guys, please. Ricky, always a pleasure seeing you, buddy.
Always a pleasure to be here, and see you next episode, guys. Ciao, ciao.
Yeah, next episode, I'm putting a timer on you, buddy. And then last but not least, Sia, it's been a pleasure having you on. You've been a really good sport. The controversial opinion on Ronaldo was great as well. Hopefully we'll have you back, and thank you so much again, and congratulations on the S word.
Soon, hopefully soon.
Well, I'll probably send you a message when you guys win. But I've been your host for today, as always, Aleardo Riani, guys. See you next Monday with another guest, Chloe, who is a Fiorentina fan from Curva Podcast. And thank you very much, guys. See ya.